Welcome to another episode of the Shine and Thrive Photography Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Monica. And today on the podcast, we have Katie Silva, who is an award-winning boudoir and wedding photographer from Hamilton, Ontario. She has a passion for uplifting others and translating all of life's beautiful memories into art. She's a full-time entrepreneur and photographer with her own studio in Hamilton. And this is one of my student success stories. She's one of my OMIs, and I'm just so proud of how she's been able to transform her life and business from literally, as she describes it, being a workhorse in her business. Her health took a downturn. Her time with family and friends was pretty much almost completely wiped out to the point where she was actually missing friends' weddings and family events and just even like those, spontaneous get togethers with friends. She just felt so trapped and overwhelmed by her business, and she didn't know how to get out of that or if it was even possible. And then she found my Outsourcing Made Easy program and took some time to, learn everything that I teach in OMI, let it all sink in. And then when she felt fully ready, she started implementing it. Ever since she started implementing, she tells us, she's like, yep, it's possible to work less hard, make more money, while also only doing the things that light you up and that are aligned with exactly the creativity that you want to enjoy in your photography business. Because I experienced this. I was like, I want to be a photographer. I am so excited. I'm going to be taking so many photos and I'm going to get paid to take photos. But then once you start running your photography business, you realize that you're pretty much shooting only 5% of the time. And then you're wearing all the freaking hats in your business, doing everything else. And it's literally your business running you into the ground instead of you running your business. And I really appreciate Katie being so open about her whole journey. She even talks about how a couple of her posts, actually, I think she went viral 2 or 3 times, of how, that went viral and how that impacted her business without her having those outsourcing systems in place, like a team in place beforehand. It just really overwhelmed her, and she wasn't able to use that going viral to her advantage as much as she would have as if she did have a team in place, like she does now, because she actually had a recent TikTok go viral. And now that she has a team in place, she was able to really use that to her advantage and really support everybody reaching out and inquiring for her services. And she even shares about like how her family and friends tell her how she's showing up now, how her energy is. And it was so sweet. She tells us about how her grandma even reacted to her, saying like, Katie, you used to not show up to, things. You just weren't able to come. You were too busy. You were too busy working. And now you're always here. And it was just like, oh my gosh, my heart friggin' exploded. I got chills. And it's like, at the end of the day, I'm not passionate about teaching you all how to outsource in your business. Like that is not the end goal. The end goal isn't for you to be like, yay, I'm good at outsourcing. It's like, no, the end goal is for you to have the actual real tangible freedom to live your life how you want to, and for you to have the business that you want to, and not just feel stuck in it just because you think you have to settle, or this is just how it is, or have your limiting beliefs hold you back, that like nobody can do it as well as I can, or I can't relinquish control. Like those are the things that Katie touches upon that were holding her back. But then she realized that, you know, those things aren't true. They were just lies in her head that she was not conscious to, that were really holding her back from living her fulfilled and harmonious life that she's living now. I can keep talking, but Katie, she just expresses everything so beautifully and openly. And she even starts off the podcast reciting the alphabet backwards really quickly, which I found so impressive. So, yeah, you're gonna really enjoy tuning into this episode. So yeah, enjoy tuning in. Welcome, Katie, to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. So excited to dive into all the juiciness of your story. Can't wait to catch up. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Sarah. It's been quite a journey since I last saw you. I'm excited to tell you all about it. And congratulations to you also becoming a mama. I was just saying it before we started recording. You're like the mother of the OME group, and you've had a lot of practice with a lot of us. So I know you're doing great out there. Congratulations. And
You're
yeah,
so
very happy
sweet.
to be here.
Thank you. And I mean, as I was mentioning before we started recording, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, number one, she has her pup Benji with her. Like,
Oh,
so you'll
yes.
hear some like barks here and there and little squeals, which we don't mind. I don't mind. So yeah, such a cutie. And freaking Katie looks gorgeous. Like she's wearing like emerald green earrings that are like leaves
Girl.
and then an emerald green shirt. Oh my God, I'm obsessed. Like
You're making me blush over here.
obsessed. I actually am always, because I found that color looks really good on me too. And I'm
Mhm.
always on the hunt for it, but I can never find it. And maybe it's because I'm law of attracting it. I mean, I just said I can never find it. So maybe that's the issue.
There you go. I'll send you some links afterwards. We'll
Oh,
shopping.
that'd be awesome. Yeah. Okay, so for everybody, just to get to know you a wee bit, just to get started, let everybody know what kind of a photographer are you, and also a random fact about you.
Okay. Well, I am Katie Silva. My company name is Katie Marie Photography and Boudoir by Katie Marie. So quite clearly, I specialize in weddings and boudoir at the moment, which has been a big transition, and I'll get all into that later. I've been a photographer for about 6 years now, going on 7. Crazy. That's insane to think about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love what I do. It's great. And random fact about me, I have a couple. They're kind
Oh
of
yeah,
this.
let's do a couple. Totally down for that.
Okay. I can sing the alphabet backwards very fast. I can rap any Busta Rhymes song. I can play the drums and the piano. And what else? Oh, and I can Spanish dance like salsa, bachata, all that. Yeah.
Oh my
I'm just a
gosh.
mix of everything. So, but never a dull moment. I have a party trick for any situation.
That is so fun. I'm like, wait, how are we not always hanging out? I remember when I
I
first
know.
met you, I had that feeling. I'm like, oh, I would totally hang out with this girl, but then it's like life. Like, how can you collect? How in adulthood can you collect more and more friends? Like,
I
how do you do
know. I can
that?
barely keep up with like the 3 that I have, let alone any other.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wait, okay, what kind of drums do you play?
Oh, both. I play acoustic and electronic. So I have a whole basement of music and piano
That's
down
so
there.
cool. I've
Live my
always
best.
wanted to try, is it called djembe drums? I
Oh,
think
yeah,
it's
yeah,
called
yeah.
djembe where they go
Mhm.
between your knees and it's
Yes, and
like
it's more of like a hand drum kind of thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I've always wanted to try that. Okay, but now, I mean, since you said it, I mean, we need a party trick. So
Okay,
I would love to hear the alphabet trick. Like,
okay.
I've
Here
never
we
heard it
go.
before.
I go really fast, so
Okay.
brace yourself. ZYXWVUTSRQPONMLKJIHGFEGCBA.
What? Isn't it supposed to be 26 letters? That
Yep.
sounded like 10 or 15.
I was very bored as a kid, and I studied it backwards and I memorized it, and it's a lot cooler than it actually sounds. But no,
It
it's
is
a
so
lot
cool.
less cool than it sounds. But
Oh yeah.
so
Oh my
yeah.
God, that's so funny. But wait, so are you an only child or no?
No, so my brother, he's 5 years younger than me. So I had 5 years to kill on my
Okay.
own for a
Yeah.
little bit. So yeah,
Oh
that's what
my
I did while I was
God.
waiting for him to arrive. I was learning the
Oh
alphabet
my gosh.
backwards. Love
I
that for
feel
me.
you. I'm an only child forever, the whole
Aw.
time. And I would literally, I was such a nerd. I loved watching like animal shows, Discovery
Mhm,
Channel and all that. And
mhm.
even though I had homework obviously from school, once I finished that homework when it was like the weekend, I was like, I assigned myself homework and I said, Sarah, write an essay about bears. And I would write it in my own notebook. I would print out pictures of bears, cut
Oh,
them in, and then I was like, I did it. Like to
oh.
myself. I'm like, oh my God, who gives themselves more homework?
But you know what? Look where you are now and look what you're doing. You're teaching people. So that was like a pre kind of
Maybe, yeah.
foreshadowing the future there. I don't know. That makes a lot of sense. I can see that.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's chat about actually before we dive into chatting deeper about outsourcing, because I know that you mentioned that you're making that shift from focusing a lot on wedding photography into boudoir work. And I am 100% sure that so many listeners are going to be like, oh, yeah, I'm thinking about shifting, or
Mhm.
I'm scared to pivot. What if I don't succeed? What if I lose my clientele before? And it's so much harder for me to start from scratch, all the fears, right?
Mhm.
So I would love to know a little bit more into like how you discovered this new passion about yourself and how the transition was for you, or is, because you're kind of in it, right?
Still in it, still going through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say when I started getting into weddings, I had a lot of my wedding clients kind of ask me, like, Katie, do you shoot boudoir? I'd love to surprise my partner with a gift on the wedding morning. And I'm like, not really, but I can give it a shot, I guess. So I kind of took it on every now and then. I'd rent Airbnbs. So it was always something I kind of did, but I never really specialized in it. And then enter the pandemic, where, as you know, all of our weddings got completely wiped, or at least mine did. I think I had, oh my God, 40 something booked in, and only 2 of them actually happened in 2020. So
What?
yeah, crazy. So all my
Wow.
weddings got postponed or canceled, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, girl has a mortgage to pay. What am I gonna do? And I thought about it, and I'm like, I've never had this much time off to focus on something. And having a studio and having my own space to kind of create in was always a big plan of mine. But I just never knew when I could bring it to fruition. And having all of that time off from weddings during the pandemic allowed me to kind of open my own studio space and really go hard with it. And the more I started shooting boudoir, the more I realized how aligned it is with where I am in my journey right now. And I know you're very spiritual, Sarah, which is why I love you for that. And I know you're going to relate to this fully. But what I learned about myself as I'm going through a spiritual journey, I was living in my masculine energy for a very long time. I'm going to quiet my dog up for a second.
Oh, that's okay.
He's going to get crazy right now, of course. Of course. So I was living in my masculine energy, and that doesn't mean like male, female. It just means living in your masculine. So I was a workhorse. I was working a lot. I had no life. I had just no weekends off, no nothing. And I was doing that for so long. And I've really started to learn how to tap into my feminine energy and kind of find that side of me that was suppressed for so long. And the big thing about boudoir for me is that it's very aligned with that journey. So empowering women to just be on their own, do their own thing, tap back into that feminine energy is exactly where I'm at in my life right now. So that alone was a big reason for the transition, not only just because my weddings got wiped at the time, but mentally where I'm at in my own journey, it made so much sense to me, and it just resonated so deep, and it's been the most aligned I've ever felt in my life for that reason. So that's kind of how I transitioned there. And then, yeah, weddings started to pick up again. And then your girl got crazy all over again. Took on way too much in 2021. But I'm at a good place right now with good balance. And I'm going to tell you all about that. And you are a huge reason for that too. So I'm very thankful.
That's it. That's incredible. So it's interesting of like, how would you say that the pandemic in that sense happened for you to discover that?
100%.
Yeah.
1,000,000%.
And when you were in it was scary, uncomfortable.
Oh,
right?
I was having nervous breakdowns all the freaking time. Like, what am I gonna do? My whole identity was a wedding photographer, and I had just quit my government job like the year prior to that, and I went full force with my business. And to have that completely ripped away from you mentally affects you, financially affects you. It was a big transition period, and that's when I really tapped into that whole spiritual side. Really did the deep inner work, and I realized, like, this is maybe a blessing in disguise at the end of the day. And that's kind of what led me to where I am today. And I just ran with it, and been the best thing I've ever done. So
that's incredible. I love that. And I could feel the energy off of like how you show up on social. It's like renewed, refreshed. Cause I remember, I don't remember when you told me, but you're like, oh, like next year I have like 50 something weddings booked. Was that for 2020?
That was for
Yeah. And so they got
course
wiped.
in
Wow.
2019. I think I took the course.
Yeah.
And that year coming up was chaos, like the most weddings I had ever booked myself in for. And I remember telling you, I'm like, girl, I have so many weddings. Like I have anxiety thinking about how much time I'm not going to have to myself. And that was the year that got wiped.
Yeah. And I remember even in your stories, sometimes you would be like, guys, I'm like, thank you for your patience. I'm just like dealing with a lot. I have all these mini sessions. I have all these weddings. I'm really trying to get back to all your emails as fast as possible. And I felt this like heavy energy, stressed energy. I'm just like, oh, Katie, like, I just want to hug you. I feel for you. And like, holy shit. And then, and I feel right now you're just like uplifted and like,
completely different.
I can't. Oh, that's so impressive. And actually curious because you said you're like, your girl went back to booking a lot of weddings, right? Was that just because it was like a year of like, okay, 2020, loss of income, transitioning into Boudoir, investing also into a studio space that you're like, okay, I know I need to just like maybe workhorse one more year just to bring that income back up. From
Mhm.
there, I'm moving forward because I learned my lesson. Is that kind of like what it was?
Pretty much. A lot of it was actually just the weddings that postponed. They were now
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
I moved all my clients over, and that was kind of it. So I honestly didn't think that when I started Boudoir, I would be as busy as I am with it. I
Mm,
thought, like I'll do a couple shoots here and there, but I did not think it would get to the point where it's at today, which I'm very thankful for. So I thought I could still handle both of them, but I quickly realized, oh shit.
yeah.
I went from being only a wedding photographer to now full-time wedding photographer again and a full-time boudoir photographer. So
Right.
it got a little out of hand, but it almost solidified my decision at the end of the day because, again, going back to that alignment, I feel way more aligned with just kind of empowering women right now and being that person because I've gotten myself out of that place where I felt lost and unsure and hard on myself. And as you just mentioned, like you can see the difference in me. And since I've gotten myself here, I feel pulled to help other people get to that point too. And when I realized that, that's when I kind of made the decision to take on less weddings. So I only have a very limited amount this year and next year. And that's kind of what I'm transitioning into. So
Amazing. And for those of you that haven't seen Katie's work, like boudoir work, it's incredible. And on top
um,
of that, it like the videos that she creates of her clients, sometimes even seeing the images for the first time, they're in full on tears. They see themselves as beautiful. Like makes me want to cry every time. It's just like such a heartfelt, deep experience that she offers. And I'm just so impressed with what you've created.
thank you.
Um, man, yeah. So I could keep talking about that stuff forever with you, but okay. So I would love to know actually, what did your life and business look like before outsourcing and implementing what you learned in OMI?
I mean, let's throw it back to me crying on your couch at one point because I was so
Yeah.
overwhelmed because it was bad. I just remember I missed out on so much, Sarah. And like, I'm going to get emotional thinking about it again now. I've missed out on friends' weddings. I've missed out on family events. I've missed out on just anything, being able to just say, like, hey, are you free tonight? And I'm like, no, I'm editing till 3 a.m. every single night. And I'm shooting this day and I'm doing a wedding this day. And I was just constantly working. And I had people tell me, they're like, all you do is work, Katie. And I'm like,
Mm,
yeah, little did I know, that was a coping mechanism for a lot of things. But it was very overwhelming. And I was in that mindset of, I'm never going to hire somebody because nobody can do it like I can. Or, I didn't want to relinquish control. As
mhm.
an entrepreneur, you are the only person that's in charge of your business for so long. So the thought of bringing somebody else into that made me physically sick to my stomach. I'm like, I'm not doing it. There's no way I'm doing that. So I was very, very reluctant for a very long time. And it took me a while to get out of that mindset, but I was very stressed out. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating properly. I was eating fast food because I'd be up until 3 a.m. editing and I had just late nights 24/7. And I'm down 21 pounds now, which is like a
Wow.
complete different, that also aids in the whole
Yeah.
mindset shift. So I wasn't taking care of myself mentally, physically, and I was burnt out beyond belief. So that's where I was when I signed up to your course.
Okay. And I vividly remember like you and Jess crying.
My friend, I'm so
Like,
glad I had her there too. She was a good support system.
yeah.
We took it together, and yeah, we were having some rough times.
Yeah. And just for those of you wondering, this was when I first like put together the course as a in-person workshop. And so they were my oh, what do you call that? Like initial first group?
The
Like
guinea pigs of everything.
not
I
even like it was
guinea
like
pigs,
the founding group
oh,
like of the
sounding
program. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And yeah, so obviously I changed it into an online course because I'm like way more photographers than in Ontario need
oh
this
yeah,
help like all over the world. So I'm like I need to help more people than just 8 people in my living
oh
room
yeah.
at a time. And
Mhm.
so just so you guys know, it's not an in-person thing experience anymore. Maybe it will be in the future. Maybe it'll be some big thing that I put together. Who knows? But for now, it's not. But yeah, I remember that like pain and how, and I was also so impressed with how vulnerable you guys were because it helped everyone else in the room really see like that this is real, like this is important. This is your life at the end of the day. And every minute you spend, you never ever get back. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, you don't want to be like down in the future, looking back at your life. And like you said, you missed what friends' weddings,
Mhm.
family time, and those things you can never get back. And
Exactly.
it sucks, but you know what? If you just learn and make different decisions moving forward, you don't have to, feel that way moving forward anymore. So I would love to know now,
Hmm.
after OMI and outsourcing and, you actually being a student in action, not just a
Mm.
student that watches the videos, listens and thinks, you know everything, but you're not actually implementing. Because if you don't implement, no shit changes, right? So
Yep.
you were a star student, you showed up for yourself. I was so proud of you every step of the way, asked questions, all of that, helped other OMIs in the process, answering their questions. It was amazing. So what does your life and business look like now?
Yeah, well, if I'm being honest, I took the course and then I did nothing with it for a while. And I
Yep.
sat on it and I remember going and I'm like all hyped up. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And then I didn't even touch it for almost a year. And I was like, yeah, I'll get to it one day. Never got to it, continued to burn myself out.
Mm.
And it was actually the pandemic that when I had all that time off, I've never had that much time to myself. And I was like, this is the perfect time to dive into it and really throw myself into it. And I know a lot of us in the group, we were doing that too. So that's when I really made the shift into learning about that. And I ended up hiring my first couple assistants. I say multiple because I did
Mhm.
have a virtual assistant, I had an in person assistant, I still have an assistant now. I outsourced a little bit of editing, and there's been quite a big shift, a big change in my group and who I've hired. And it was a big learning curve. I'm not going to lie. It's not like I took the course and I'm like, yep, my life is great. I had to go through a lot of trial and tribulation to figure it out. Some good situations, some not good situations. And now I think I've worked out a lot of the kinks so that I'm on a better trajectory with it. And I feel much better. And in my work life balance, I mean, speaks for itself. Putting that love back into myself, losing 20
Mm.
pounds, being in a better state of mind, having time off to go see friends and family, and I'm doing things again. And it's like, I feel like I'm back in that happy Katie mode, and I'm not that burnt out Katie anymore.
Mm.
And yeah, your course
Oh,
was absolutely the little push that I needed to get myself back on track with that. And a lot of the things I followed, and then some things I kind of took my own path too. And I'm like, okay, Sarah taught me the basics. How can I make this catered to my
custom
own
to
business?
you.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And that's what I did. I kind of ran with it. And then once I worked out those kinks, I realized what was working, what wasn't working, and I kind of built off that. So I'm very, very thankful. I'm in a much better place now.
I love that. Like, oh my gosh, there's so many things you mentioned that I'm like, which part do I want to talk about? So actually, I wanted to ask you,
Ooh.
because I feel like a lot of us, when we're in a problem, when we're in this state of like exhaustion, burnout, we just want a pill. We just want to take a pill and for it to fix everything, right? But life just doesn't work that way. We have to, take those steps forward that make us uncomfortable. We might fail along the way, trip, and then get back up and realize, oh, that's how not to do it. Okay, now I get it. So
Mhm.
were all those trials and tribulations and the time and effort that it took for you to like really figure out your own custom workflows
Mhm.
for outsourcing in your business, like, was that worth it for you?
Definitely. It was a challenge, but a very rewarding challenge.
Mm.
With my first assistant that I had no idea what I was doing. I was a complete mess, and I'm like, "Help me, please!" Like I had, I think, 300 emails that were unread, that we just kind of jumped right into, and I didn't really have a game plan to give her. And I know you teach a lot of that in the course, but that was stuff that I overlooked. And I'm like, nope, I just need somebody now. I'm just going to throw myself into it. So I guess it worked out for me in that sense because I was able to see what worked and what didn't work. And then I
Mhm.
ended up getting a new assistant a little bit down the road. And going into that second assistant, I had a better game plan. I'm like, okay, I've done this before. I know how to do this. The nerves are gone. And learning to trust somebody, that was my big thing. Learning to let somebody into my little bubble, trust them with my business, trust them with my emails and all that kind of stuff. I had gotten over that. So now it was more of like, okay, how can I streamline this a little bit better and make it work? So
Yeah, and that's something I really encourage in OMI. It's like all the best I can do is give you guys the actual roadmap, step-by-step systems that I do that work for me. But
mm,
then on top of that, I teach you the mindset and coach you through live coaching calls to think for yourself, to customize and problem solve your own workflow. So you can literally take mine, copy and paste it. It works in a wedding photography and portrait business. It does work. But if you're like, this feels slightly off, listen to that gut, listen to that instinct, and slightly tweak it, adjust it, make your own decisions. And I love that you did that. Like, because at the end of the day, there's no one size fits all solution for everyone in the world, right?
Exactly.
So I'm so proud of you that you were problem solving for yourself like that. And so so actually, can you give us like an overview of like just like a list of like things you outsource in your business? I think I want to go in deeper into talking about assistants and what your team looks like now and stuff, but just like a quick like list of like what are the things that pop into your head, the tasks that you outsource, the things that you have let go of so far.
Yeah. So my biggest thing that was weighing me down was emails. And I get really anxious around emails. Sometimes I'm just not in a frame of mind to do them myself. And I realized that was my downfall. So that has been the biggest thing that I have given up. And I still to this day don't do them much anymore. On occasion, I will, but not really. So that was the main thing I hired somebody for at first. But I also had a VA helping me with a lot of other things. I had her doing some Instagram stuff at one point. Oh, my website. I had her update all things on my website. I have a little system with that. Back when I first hired her, I had a lot more weddings I was getting through, and she was actually helping me with the culling. So a lot of that I was outsourcing. At one point, when I had a lot of weddings, I was getting help with the editing for a little bit. I try to do as much as I can, but if I outsource a little bit, then at least it's not as stressful getting rid of all of it. So that's kind of how I started in the beginning. Now the point I'm at now, because I've transitioned more into studio work and boudoir work, I'm actually doing same day edits for my clients. So I am doing all the editing, just time purposes now. So it's not the editing that I need help with, it's more of a studio assistant. And that's when I realized my VA is amazing. I love her. I still have her doing some things for me, like video editing and stuff like that. But the biggest help has been having an in person assistant and having somebody with the clients and helping out throughout the day and greeting them in the morning and letting them into the studio, like having that physical person. And that's where I kind of tweaked it to my own business and realizing that I got more value out of an in-person assistant than a VA. So I try to find other things for her to do, like more back-end stuff now. But my current assistant, she does all my bookings for me, emails, client stuff. It's been great. So that's pretty
That's
much where I'm at
amazing.
now. Yeah.
That's amazing. And is she like full-time, part-time?
Part-time
What's
right now. She
ish?
has her own kind of business and stuff that she does on the side, but I'm only
Yeah.
really working part-time with Boudoir. I share the studio with another photographer, so I'm not in there full-time. So it works
Okay,
out pretty
got
good
it.
for me.
Yeah.
But definitely probably going to need somebody full-time at some point because it's getting to that point now. But
Yeah.
that's always a possibility. And yeah, it's working pretty good part-time as is right now. So
That's amazing. And what are some of the benefits you that come to mind when, you have this assistant there helping you throughout the day? Like tell me about some of the benefits that come to you.
I can actually enjoy my time off, which you probably know before you started outsourcing.
Yeah.
The guilt will eat away at you. Like I remember being out
Mhm.
with friends and I'm like, are my clients thinking that I'm ignoring them? Like I'm out at a party. Are they going to think that I'm reckless and I don't care about my job? Like you constantly had this little voice in the back of your head that was like, are people going to judge me for not working right now
Yeah.
because I have 300 unread emails and I'm just ignoring them to go out, where, as you know, work-life balance for anybody is important. But
Yeah.
having somebody take over that backlog and I'm not backlogged anymore gives me that little bit of freedom. Like when I'm off on the weekend, I can be off on the weekend and not think about work and detach from it a lot better than I was able to. So
Mhm.
that has been the biggest thing for me. And also because I really don't like doing the emails, not doing that at all has taken so much stress off my shoulder. So that helps a ton.
That's awesome. And how about even like the in-person experience for your boudoir clients, right? Because don't you
Awesome.
find that maybe you have more space in your mind, in your soul to be creative and be calm and at peace instead of being like, okay, I have to greet them at the door. Okay, great guys, come in. Okay, small talk, small talk. Okay, now I'm gonna get my camera. It's like
Yeah,
you have someone covering, you even outsourced small talk in a way. And it's not
pretty
small talk
much.
because you're gonna connect with your clients, but you're
Yeah.
you're mostly connecting with them on the session. And maybe
Yep.
first when you start documenting them and telling them that little spiel
Mhm.
of like, okay, as long I just want you to be comfortable, for example, like
Mhm.
anytime you're uncomfortable, let me know, blah, 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 whatever. So you still connect with them, but you just have someone with that buffer time, right?
Definitely, because with boudoir sessions, we're doing the hair and makeup for them too. So
Mm,
that's about 2 hours of really not needing me to be there. I found that I was just kind of killing time, and I'm like, I would do editing and stuff in
yeah.
between, but it was just kind of useless time. So now I just get her to greet. I come about halfway through. I talk to the client during the end of the getting ready portion, and then I'm with them for the whole shoot, the whole edit, the whole last part of the day. So I'm still with them for about 90% of the day, but that little morning period, it's been nice to not have to worry about rushing to the studio to have it open for the client. And
Yeah.
your girl's not the best morning person, so that helps me a lot too. So yeah, just having that second person there to just take off a little bit of me having to constantly be on. And when I get there, I can enjoy my job and I can enjoy the shoot, and I'm not stressed out about having a late or running around all morning. It's nice to walk in and just be able to be present and
Yeah.
to give them that good experience that they deserve. So
And do you feel like you're more in your zone of genius? Like you're pretty much doing only the tasks that light you up, number one, and that create the most impact.
100%, 1,000,000%, because back in pre-outsourcing, Katie, I was doing shoots every night and I was tired, and I'd come home and I'd be editing till 3 in the morning, and then I'd have to go to a wedding the next day with like one eye open, and I'm like, am I even awake right now? Like I wasn't in a good headspace because I was so burnt out all the time. So now I preserve that energy, and I'm able to really give them my all when I get there because I'm not burning it on every end anymore.
That's amazing.
Mm.
I'm curious actually. So what was like a belief that was holding you back in life and in business, like from the business that you really wanted? So when you were like all like, okay, totally overwhelmed with weddings and you felt burnt out, you're missing out on time with family and friends, all of that, your health wasn't, you weren't taking care of yourself.
Mhm.
What was a belief or a couple that were really kind of like rooted and stuck within you that you didn't even realize actually? You were unconscious of
Um,
them.
my thing was probably that nobody can do it as good as I can. And I mean, if I'm being honest, I still kind of think that. But I read a quote somewhere, and it's like 95% done is better than 100% perfect, and or something like that. And
Yeah.
that kind of reshifted my focus. And I'm like, you know what? A happier client would be getting a response instead of waiting 2 weeks for me to respond. They
Mhm.
want something quick. They want to know answers. So if that's my assistant talking to them, I think they'll be much happier with that, getting a response in 48 hours instead of waiting a month just because it's me responding. So
Yeah.
realizing that was holding me back a lot. And I
And
think also,
actually, can I touch on
yeah.
that? Because
Uh-huh.
like one thing that I'm realizing is like perfection doesn't actually exist
Mhm.
because it's subjective. Because what's
Exactly.
perfect to one person isn't perfect to another. So you
Mhm.
actually can't, it's impossible for you to make anything perfect. And so
Exactly.
why are we striving and stressing ourselves out so much? And
Exactly.
when we say this, we're not talking about like we're gonna give our clients like shit edit or like
Mhm.
not put our heart and soul into it. No, it's like, that difference, like when you're editing and it's like you're editing away at a photo and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go next, but this little thing. Oh, but
Yep.
maybe this little thing. And it's like if you were to show the two differences between 95% perfect in your mind and 100 to another photographer, they might not even notice. So
Exactly.
like
It's like a hue of
that kind of thing.
magenta that only
Yeah.
you would clue into. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what's taking up too far of your mental energy, your time, all of that. And by the way, I love that you were just so honest. You're like the thought of like no one can do it as well as I can. I love that you're honest and you're like I still kind of believe that
Of course.
because I find that that is just every new level you
Mhm.
want to get to with maybe
Mhm.
letting go of a new task that you've never let go of before,
Mhm.
that belief will still be there, but
Mhm.
you've overcome it with other tasks, like for example, email or some like the assistant being there, right?
Mhm.
And I every time it's time for me to let go of a new task, a new level, something I've never done before, I still get the same belief because I
Yep.
experienced the same belief. I used to be like, nope, my business is my baby. I offer a boutique experience. I
Yep.
do everything myself. I was like so proud of it, but I was like working 15-hour days every single day, burnt out just like you. I'm like,
Mhm.
no one can do as well as I can. Like, it's only me. And it's like, Jesus, like how big, like we're not the center of the freaking universe. And it's like we learned those things somehow throughout our lives. I'm like, so that means they're teachable. I mean, someone else is totally capable if you can train them how to do it. So I
Exactly.
feel the same way, Katie. Like I actually am now I'm now even feeling that feeling because I'm working on outsourcing the next level in my business.
Mhm.
And so I'm uncomfortable and I'm, can someone do it as well? Is it possible? Right. I'm still there, but in a new kind of place, new level. So I
Mhm.
love that you mentioned that. What was the other belief that you said that you were thinking was like holding you back subconsciously?
Just from like jumping into outsourcing or just in business in general?
Just in general, that you felt like was holding you back when you were like in that busy thick of it, like you
Mhm.
thought that this was just like how it was to be a photographer and a wedding photographer. Maybe you were settling, maybe you're like, there's no way out. This is just how it is.
I think going from having like a steady paycheck I had a government job before I
Mhm.
left that, and having security, pension, benefit, all that. I left that to be a full-time entrepreneur, which had that fire under me always of like, I need to book, clients, and I didn't want
Mm,
to say no to anybody. And I'm like, yep, I can do this. I'll take you on. I'll do this. I'll do this. So I thought I just constantly had to take on every single thing that came my way. And I realized quickly that's not a good idea. You need to be selective. You need to take things that fuel your soul, but also that you can handle.
yeah.
So I think that would have been my other big thing that kind of held me back in that state of burnout and work mode, was just having that fear of no income or fear of not making as much as I did the next year. And now I'm just kind of learning to ride the waves. And with entrepreneurship, you're going to have a good year, you're going to have a bad year, and then you're going to have a damn pandemic that's going to come and wipe your entire existence away. And you can't predict that. So I'm just learning to go with the flow and not overwhelm myself. And that's been another big thing that I've had to get over as well. So
That's amazing. And I'm curious because did you ever have a fear of letting go about of money in outsourcing? Like it's like, oh, this is my hard-earned money, and here I'm gonna pay someone to do the emails when I can do them, or edit when I can do it, or have an
definitely.
assistant when really I can come 2 hours sooner. Why would I let go of that money for that 2 hours? Like, how did you feel around that
Oh my
before?
goodness, so much. And it's so funny because outsourcing, even just for editing, for example, it's not that much money when you really look at the grand scheme of things. But back then I was like, oh my God, like I'm not giving that up. Like I just did a whole shoot and did this and worked the whole wedding. Like there's no way in hell I'm going to pay somebody to do something that I could do. But I think you have to shift your mindset into thinking that it's not about the money and the cost and all that. It's about the freedom that you get back and the mental state that you get yourself into, not having to worry about doing that. It's like, yeah, I could have saved a couple hundred per session doing not outsourcing or doing it myself, but then what am I giving up? Friends, weddings, family events, time for
Mhm.
myself, time to take care of myself again, realistically. And that was more important than money will ever be to me, ever.
Okay, so you know how you're like, yeah, I could have saved a couple $100s here and like kept that money, right? But
Mhm,
really, now that you know the effect of like investing in outsourcing,
mhm.
isn't your hourly like rate even higher when you think about it? Because if you didn't outsource, you wouldn't actually have the time and energy to improve your craft, to really show the experience that you create for your clients and then raise your maybe prices for your bookings and all of that. So technically, it actually costs you more money not to outsource. You're leaving more money, more income on the table if you don't outsource because you're actually still trading your time for dollars and only few dollars. Like pretty
Yeah.
much minimum wage. That's what I experienced.
Mhm.
Like you're working 15-hour days, minimum wage. You're like, why can't I make more money? It's because you have no more bandwidth to grow your business.
That is exactly it. And even just the thought of not editing a wedding for 3 days at a time, that's 3 other days you could be doing another shoot. You could be taking on a whole other booking. So that would pay for the outsourcing in itself and then some. The fact that you're able to have all that time is money. Like that is the best quote ever. Time is money, and how you put your time into things will really affect that. Whether it is having a social life, going out and enjoying life, or if it is, hey, I can do another shoot this week because I don't have to edit a wedding all week. It's been huge that way. So exactly what you said, it actually makes you more money in the end. And that
Yeah.
was one thing I did not clue into at
You
the
could
time.
could not compute.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember sitting there and then you were telling me like the prices and stuff of outsource. And I'm like, oh, hell no, am I doing that? I was like, no, I'll edit myself. Screw that.
Yeah.
No way. And you think black and white at first, and you're just thinking small. But when you think outside of the box and you think long term and you think, what it can help you get to down the road, that's
Mhm.
when you really start to see it clearly. And it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
And
Mhm.
it's so funny now that you say, oh, like time is money. Another thing just came into my mind. It's like time is freedom if you
Yes.
choose.
Yes. Yes.
It can be. You can have both. So, like, would you say that this rings true to you? It's possible for you to work less hard as a photographer and make more money at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. Because now that energy that I was putting into the late nights editing or emails, I'm putting that into building my business and expanding it. And I built a whole new business from that. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I was still doing my 4 a.m. editing nights. So, absolutely.
And was there like a time where you felt like giving up on your outsourcing journey where you're just like, oh, I just want this to like be all figured out and perfectly work and just but was there a time where you're like, I think I'm gonna give up, but then you didn't?
Yes.
What did that look like?
Definitely. Even like when it came to the emails, I remember I'd be reading back emails in the beginning that my assistant was typing, and I'm like, I would have never said that. Oh my God, that's kind of cringy. Like, I would have never worded it like that. And then I'm like, Katie, you need to shut the hell up and you need to just let it be because the client is not going to realize that they used a different word than you would have used. They're never going to clue into that. And they're getting a response in 24 hours. And that is more important than the wording that they choose to use, as long as they're not making me look like an idiot. So of course,
Mhm.
they have to have some sort of um, common sense in the response. But I was very picky about that for a while. So yeah, there were times where I'd be like, this is not worth it. Nobody can do it like I can. Going back to that
Yeah.
limiting belief that you are the only one that can do anything quote unquote right. So getting myself out of that belief kind of calmed me down a little bit too. And I learned to just kind of relinquish control, trust the journey, and know that these people are here to help me and it's going to be okay at the end of the day.
Awesome. And I'm curious if what was your family and friends response to you
Yeah.
like before you start to outsource and then after and then now? Like, do they
Yes.
say anything about you, your energy, like how you're showing up in life, how much time you have for them?
Big time. Oh my gosh. I was with my grandma the other day for her birthday, and I remember she just kind of looked at me and she's like, "Oh my God, Kitty, you never come to nothing, and now I see you so much, and you're here." And I had time to take her out on a Saturday afternoon shopping. Like that is unheard of for a wedding photographer. And my grandma, she's so sweet. She stresses out about me so much, and she's like, "I'm so happy you have time now." And she's on my butt about like, girl, you got to find a man. I'm like, girl, you know what? That day will come. But she's like, now you got time. And I'm like, well, come on. So just little things like that you hear. And I've heard it from a lot of people in my inner circle or people that know me and see me often. They're like, your energy has changed and your whole demeanor has changed and you're not in that just workaholic mode 24/7 and they see a big difference. So yeah, it's definitely definitely been a thing that people have been noticing for sure.
I'm so happy to hear that. It's so funny because like my mission is not to teach photographers how to outsource. My mission is exactly what you just said.
Mhm.
Those moments in life that you have with yourself where you're
Mhm.
like, ah, I love you, self. I care about you. You don't have to work this hard. It's
Mhm.
okay to slow down. It's okay to like put yourself first. And then also with like, yeah, your grandma and like your
Yeah.
family and friends having those moments to actually enjoy life together instead of like, you know how like you're like, holy shit, I've been doing this for 7 years. It's like time flies, right? And I've been
Yes.
doing this for 11 years. And for half of that time, I was just like hustling, hustling, hustling. And
Mhm.
now I'm at the point where it's like half of my career, I experience burnout, other half, I experience harmony. And
Mhm.
it's like, that's what I want to teach is like, you can have it all, right? And you're such a beautiful example of that. And I'm so grateful for you sharing. Um, I'm actually curious, what was like one of your favorite parts of OMI, like maybe how the lessons were or the community or anything like that? Is there something that sticks out that was your favorite?
I would say the biggest thing that comes to mind right away is being able to sit in a room. I mean, I know you don't do that anymore, but back when I did it, sitting in a room with people who were in the exact same stage of life that I was. We were all burnt out. We were all overwhelmed because for the longest time, I felt so alone, feeling that because none of my friends are entrepreneurs. They go to their 9 to 5, they go out on the weekend, they live their best. And I'm like, you guys don't understand like the stress that I'm under and seeing other people going through the same thing I was such a humbling thing, because it's like, okay, like we're in this together. So having that community was big for me. And having a friend there that I knew, Jess was there, and we were kind of going through it together. And then we met so many other people. I still talk to a lot of them today, that I met in your living room. So it's been really good. And I think just kind of having that support system to help each other get out of it. And you probably saw in the Facebook group, when I had gone to start hiring an assistant and do all that, we were all asking each other questions like, what did you do? How did you do this? And just having that support system was absolutely key for me. So above all, I think that was the biggest takeaway from me. And then also just the way that you were always present to answer questions if we had anything, like I didn't really have to wait long if we had something that we had to ask you. You're just like, you're right there. You're like the mom of the group. That's what I said. Like, Mama Sarah comes to our rescue, and she helps us. And even if it wasn't something that was in the course, you were so open to learn about that. And I remember one question I asked you, I forget what it was, but you're like, oh, let me find out for you. Like, I don't know the answer. And like, you had your assistant go figure out something for me. And I was like, you can't really find that anywhere else. It's like, you're like my own personal Google at that point.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. And I think, yeah, just having that, again, I guess it kind of goes back to community and support system. That was really what I needed at the time. And the course was amazing above all as well. But that was a big thing for me, just the communications.
I love hearing that. I love hearing from every student, like what stood out to them and what was that like important piece, because everyone's so different, right? And that's why I try to have as much of a holistic experience as possible. In OMI, there's visual teaching, there's auditory, there's steps, there's do this action step, so it's kinetic, and then there's community. And yes, I don't do the in the living room anymore, but there's the what's it called, the live coaching support calls. So at least on Zoom you can all see each other in little squares, and yeah, the Facebook group. So I really love hearing how important community is. And it's so interesting because that hearing you from that perspective, because I did go through that alone of figuring out everything by myself, and then I put together all of this to share it with photographers. So I never had that experience of like, oh, you guys are like this too, oh, and then let's help each other out, right? And this is exactly what I want to build, right? Is like this community helping each other out from the same place, meeting each other where you're all at, right? And growing together, lifting each other up. And you saying that right away, I'm like, ooh, live event in the future. Like, I'm like, that
Yeah,
would be so amazing. But I'm like, I just have
absolutely.
to have kids first. I'm like, that's a whole nother freaking thing that I have to figure out on my career journey. But yeah, you just gave
Aw.
me that like more of like a fire of how important I think that it was to your experience. I'm like, oh yeah, that is really important. And in person is so special. So
Hmm,
yeah, something for me to think about.
there you go.
But I'm trying to think, is there anything else I want to ask? Oh yeah, because you mentioned that you went viral and somehow and
Quite a few times.
skyrocketed your business, and then you had to
Mhm.
like learn how to keep up, and that's what also outsourcing helped with. So maybe tell us that story, or one of
Yeah.
the stories.
Oh, that was the craziest year of my life. Oh my God. There was a month where I went viral twice in one month for two different things. One was a
Wow.
post about a wedding that I had shot. The groom had an amazing reaction, beautiful story. And then the second time was a chicken nugget engagement shoot that blew up on the internet. McDonald's even contributed a late night buffet to the client after seeing the pictures. Like it was
Oh
crazy. I had
my.
DMs from McDonald's, Sarah. Okay, like what?
Oh my gosh.
Like McDonald's slid into my DMs.
Oh,
Put that on record right now, so everybody.
yeah.
Which is crazy. So that was the most wild journey I ever went on. But at that point, when everything started to go viral, that was the peak of my career. And that's when I was really getting into taking the shift from my government job into full-time
Mhm.
entrepreneurship. And the bookings, like I said, they kept coming in and I didn't know how to say no. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Like, here we go, here we go. So I went from gradually getting into the business to just blowing up. And my business grew faster than I could keep up with. And that's kind of how I got myself into that messy situation of being overwhelmed. And I stayed there for about 3 or 4 years before I actually took the leap and did something about it.
Mhm.
But yeah, that definitely contributed a lot to where I am today. I'm very thankful for that year. led me to do a bunch of destination weddings and a bunch of stuff, met amazing people out of that experience too. So very thankful, but yeah, it was a whirlwind.
That's so fascinating. And so, wait, so did you go to school for photography or were you self-taught?
Self-taught. I went to
Self-taught.
school for
Okay.
government work, completely unrelated.
Okay. So my thought around like, because I went to school for photography and for 2 years and you don't learn the business side of things there. Right. And then if for those that are self-taught, no one is really teaching like, yeah, outsourcing or this or that, or, um, I feel like a lot of people even like wear like I'm busy as like a badge of honor and all of that. And so a lot of photographers ask me, they're like, when is the right time to learn how to outsource and all of that? And I honestly believe that there's different times to implement outsourcing because, for example, you still want to like learn maybe a little bit of your editing style. It doesn't have to be perfect because then you can get your editor to help you get it how you want it, but you still need to like learn a bit of that or like learn how to like choose the photos that you want to choose and why as an artist a little bit. But do you think that it would be a little bit different if, let's say, somewhere along the journey you learned that it's possible for you to outsource as an artist and still keep the quality of your work like intact and be able to like work less hard, make a little bit more money? Like if you had learned that sooner, then
Mhm.
maybe when you had that like gone viral, had that like influx of inquiries and everything, you would have been like maybe more like, oh, an option to problem solve this would be to hire someone now, but you were like, I got to do everything myself. Maybe
Yeah.
this will die down. I got to do everything myself, right? Like, do you think it would be a little bit different and possibly you might have not reached burnout?
100%. I was absolutely not tapped into that at that time. Yeah, I was not tapped into that energy at all back then. I was still learning how to run a business at that time, and that's when I just started learning, business podcasts and going to entrepreneurship conferences, and I was just dipping my feet into the world of entrepreneurship. So outsourcing was the last thing on my brain. I was
Mm,
like, oh, what the hell? Like not even a thought in my mind. But if I knew back then what I know now, I would have had a whole system in place. And it's like, how can I maximize and
mm,
monetize going viral without just being the one that was putting all the energy into it? I could have had a team doing that and
yeah.
answering the emails and getting back to all the inquiries right away when they came in. And it's funny because I've gone viral a few times now on TikTok
Oh,
this year
nice.
for my boudoir business, and I tackled it completely different, completely
Mm,
different. And I had my team ready, and everybody was answering all the emails. And I had clients drive in from 8 hours to come shoot with me from finding me on TikTok. And
wow.
so I was prepared for it this time. Where back then I was just all excited, like, oh my god, like I'm on Inside Edition, Good Morning America, like what the hell is happening? And you just kind of ride that wave, but
Yeah.
never got out of that, and it just put me deeper into the backlogs.
Wow.
So, yeah,
So would you say that knowing how to outsource and how to train someone within the business like is a foundational skill that every photographer needs to have and every
definitely.
business owner needs to have?
Any business owner, not even photography in
Yeah.
itself, like just anybody out there owning a business, entrepreneurship, if you get to the point where you're stable and you're taking a lot of bookings or doing a lot of sales, whatever it may be, you should uh, teach yourself the skills to
Yeah.
have a team or outsource or delegate somehow, because you cannot grow your business unless you bring other people on, or you do things to get rid of the tasks that are mundane that you don't want to do.
Mhm.
So that is a skill that I think any business owner should absolutely try to learn at some point.
Yeah. And I love how even you said, you're like, honestly, Sarah, like it took me a year to like then really be like, okay, you know what? I'm actually going to dive into the step-by-step process Sarah has, learn it, study it, implement it, right? So
Mhm.
like it's still, wouldn't you say that it was still so valuable for you to like learn in your mind that it's possible and be
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, so this is the next step maybe in my business in my future. Take some time because everyone's path is totally different, right? Maybe you were like just in this burnout space, you maybe your brain couldn't even handle taking in more education, right? Maybe you just need to take care of yourself for a bit.
Yep.
And then it's like when you were ready, it was right there and you didn't have to like, did you find that beneficial that even that you didn't take action right away, at least you did later on, right? So now I'm thinking like for those that are listening that are maybe just kind of like starting to get bookings in your business where it's like, okay, I see bookings starting, but you're not overly booked out or busy. I
Mhm.
highly suggest that at least you learn the skill now so that
Yep.
when you do get busy, you apply it and then you don't actually have to go through this painful burnout that Katie and I have gone through. Like, why do you want to, know that you're going to get to burnout by doing all the tasks in your business yourself? Like, we're
Mhm.
not the only examples. There's literally thousands and thousands of other examples of photographers. So you can actually, by learning through us and our stories and where we've been, you can future proof yourself to avoid that pain and avoid missing friends' weddings, family events. Those things don't happen again. So,
Mhm.
like, yeah, I highly suggest that you just like, learn the skill, study it. It'll take you time to implement, and that's okay, one small step at a time, but at least you're starting and gaining
Yeah.
that momentum. Um,
Really. If you
yeah,
don't build a solid foundation in your business, it will crumble. And I learned it
yes.
the hard way. And if I had my time back, I wish I put more energy into the business side of things instead of just constantly chasing the next viral picture or how many bookings I can do or where am I going to do my creative shoot today. That's important, of course, being a creative in a creative industry. But looking back, I definitely wish I had put more energy into the business side of things long before I did. So.
Yeah. And I'm guessing like, because us photographers, we're
Mm.
like, oh, we love to create, we're
Yeah.
creative. Let's take photos,
Yeah,
right? And then you
all the
realize,
time.
oh, wait, I only spend 5% of my time taking photos, right? So
Mhm.
like, I get it, guys. Like, outsourcing does not sound exciting. Diving into an outsourcing course does not sound exciting. But
Yep.
let me tell you, and Katie, tell me if you had the same experience. Like, when you found yourself so overwhelmed, burnt out, and then you realize that your ticket to freedom in your life
Mhm.
is through doing the course and outsourcing. Weren't you like, you know what, I'm going to switch my mindset. Like,
Mhm.
now I'm going to make this the exciting thing in my life so that
Yep,
forever after that, I get to do more exciting things only.
exactly. 100%. And once you get over the fears in the beginning, because I had so many fears, but letting somebody in. And once I relinquished that, I was, like you said, able to enjoy it. And it gives you all almost like an optimism kind of hope, sense of hope, where it's like, oh my gosh, I can accomplish so many things now because I'm not bogged down with all the other things that I really don't like doing.
Mhm.
And yeah, it opens up your mind to a whole new experience in your business and you see it from a different light.
Amazing.
Mm.
So, one last question.
Okay.
I'm curious. So, for anyone that's listening to you right now, your story, and they're thinking about joining OMI, but they're on the fence. They're still like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if it's for me. I don't know if it's the right time. I don't know if I'm ready. What would you tell them?
Do it because I clearly wasn't ready when I did it and I sat on it for a year and then I eventually did it. So take the step if you're feeling that pull to do it. Trust your gut. That's one thing I'm learning is
Yes.
to be very intuitive. And if my gut is telling me something, that usually means there's a reason for it. So if you have that gut feeling like you need to do it, take it. Go to the course, do the course. Even if you don't implement it right away, it'll, like you said, it'll be there when you need it. And I had to wait for that moment where I was able to fully take it in and fully set aside the time to do it. And unfortunately, it wasn't when I took the course, but it happened in divine timing and when it was meant
Yeah.
to. And that's always an option that you'll have if you do take the course. So don't sleep on it, do it, take it, thank us later.
And I love that you said follow your gut. That's always what I say.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I ever want is for anyone to have one of my courses and it's not the right fit. Like,
Mhm.
it's just, there's no point. Why? Like, right. So, like, if you're just like, this is not at all what I want. This doesn't sound interesting. I did not have any aha moments during this episode. I'm not
Mhm.
inspired. I'm not excited for the future that I could possibly have that, Sarah and Katie are talking about, then no. But if you're like, I want that. I want that experience, but I'm scared. You know what? Anything you do that's new, you're going to be scared. And it's just your compass. Like, fear, you can use it as your compass. Because guess what? If you didn't feel scared, that
Right.
means you didn't care. So
Exactly.
you're only scared because you actually care and you want it, but you just think that, it's not possible for you in some way. So thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that will help so many make the decision that's right for them. And lastly, please tell us where everybody can find you. I know you have a private women's only Facebook group that I definitely want you to tell everybody about. And tell everyone where they can find you on the grams, on the TikToks, on everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I would love for you to come join the private women's only Facebook group. I will let Sarah link it in, I guess I
Yeah.
would link it
In
somewhere.
the show
I'll get
notes.
link for
It's in the
that.
show notes. Yeah.
Perfect. It's called the Untamed Society. It's women's only. We have a ton of fun in there. So please feel free to come join. And you can also find me on Instagram. My main one right now is Boudoir by Katie Marie. I also have my wedding page, which is Katie Marie Photography with an underscore at the end because the other one was taken.
Yeah.
Drives nuts, but you know, it is what it is.
And it's funny because it probably drives her nuts too.
Oh yeah. There's like
What's
another
this
Katie
underscore one?
Oh yeah. I'm sure there's like a Katie Marie photography out there that gets all my people trying to follow her and they're like, oh, are you in Hamilton? And it's like, no, who the hell are you?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's an underscore at the end of that one. And then I'm also on TikTok. I'm pretty active on TikTok now. And that one is Boudoir by Katie Marie. And finally, my website, if you want to check out all the information about anything regarding me or my business, it's www.katiemariephotography.ca.
Awesome.
Mouthful of information for you.
I love it. And actually, quick question.
Yeah.
If you didn't have help, do you feel like you would have time to be on TikTok right now?
No way. No way. Not a chance.
And how beneficial has it
A lot of
been?
time. Oh, it's been amazing. It's been awesome to get to know
Mhm.
people. It reaches you to so many people. I love it. I'm having a blast on there. And yeah, definitely have more time to be the creative again instead of
Mhm.
the overwhelmed business owner that I was for many years. So
Amazing. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Katie, so much for your time. Like, we are so grateful because your time is your most valuable asset and you literally spent it with us. So
I want to be able to
thank
give back.
you.
You helped me so much. It's the least I can do. Thank you because you really did change the trajectory of my entire business and entire existence too. So big
I
shout
inspired, but you did it.
out.
You were the one that did it, right? Thank you, Katie.
Thank you,
And
Sarah.
Benji.
Oh, there he is. He's going to be quiet the whole time now. Watch.
Yeah.
Oh,
my
never
gosh.
mind. I spoke too soon. Oh my God.
So, if you're ready to stop being an underpaid and overworked photographer and instead step into becoming a liberated photographer by having more time freedom, mind freedom, financial freedom, creative freedom, and so many other freedoms, then trust your why and let me show you the how. And everybody's why will look a little different, right? Maybe you want to have more time freedom to spend quality time with those closest to you. Maybe you're starting to lose the love and excitement you once had for your business, photography, and also your clients, and you want to regain the energy to show up creatively again. Maybe your mental health and well being is at an all time low, and you will no longer accept your health coming in last and are ready to make yourself a priority so you can live a life more filled with more joy and vitality. Or maybe you want to scale your photography business and make your dream income so that you can live your life with abundance and experiences and even travel the world often. So, whatever your why is, outsourcing will help you get there. It is literally the bridge that will take you from where you are now to where you want to go much sooner than you think. But this will only happen if you decide right now to do something different. You don't have to be hostage to who you have been. You can shift that. I mean, it has gotten you this far, but it won't get you to the next place you want to go. And I love this quote by Joseph Campbell. He says, as you go down this path of transformation, of really trying to become your ideal self, you're going to meet the part of yourself that you don't want to be. And you're going to see all of your flaws. You're going to see all the things that cause you pain. When you meet that self you no longer want to be, you have two choices at that point. You can choose to stay there and be swallowed by the pain, or move on to something bigger and better. And I like to think of the metaphor of a fly. This is actually a perfect freaking metaphor for this. It's like a fly that's continuing to hit the glass, trying to get out into the outdoors, right? But it's not trying anything different. So it doesn't. And guess what happens? It stays there and it eventually dies at the window when all along you're trying to show it a way out. So this is a great metaphor for you being overworked year after year after year in your photography business and not doing anything different to get out of it. So don't be the fly. And if you're the fly and you have been the fly, right? Let me show you a way out. So I just want to share one last time. The doors to Outsourcing Made Easy close in just 2 days on October 12th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And they won't be open for another whole year so that I support my students in the meantime. So to sign up now, go to sarahmonica.com/freedom. And remember, as soon as you sign up, you can dive into the course right away, start learning, start implementing, be connected to other OMIs. That's what the community is called. It's the OMI community. And you don't have to go at this journey alone. You are supported by me. You are supported by OMIs. You'll be supported by current OMIs, the ones that sign up at the same time as you, and also past alumni that have more experience as well. So that is invaluable. And you can dive into learning right away, or you can literally just wait for off season and then dive in then. But just so you know, again, the doors won't be open again until the fall of 2023. So you don't want to have another whole year of overwork and burnout because time is fleeting and you don't get it back, right? So again, I am so excited to have you there, to support you, to hold your hand, and really, celebrate your transformation next year, just like the other success stories you've heard, and just like Katie's success story that you heard today. And I really know that you can be one of them. I mean, if you've gotten this far in your business now and in your life through all the things that you remember before were scary, you didn't know how to do it, or it was uncomfortable, right? These are all natural feelings. And it's actually really good that you're feeling these feelings, because if you are feeling those feelings of like fear and like, ooh, butterflies and like uncomfortability, that just means that you care and that you want it. And that's just like, you gotta just move through that, right? Just like when you used your camera on manual and you started learning it for the first time, you're like, it's uncomfortable. I don't know. It's like brain power and I don't know how to do this, but eventually you learned it and look where it got you now, right? So I cannot wait to see you in there. I cannot wait to support you. Again, go to sarahmonica.com/freedom. Do so now. Don't wait another moment until you make this decision for yourself in your life and for your loved ones and your family, because family and friends, relationships, connection, that is really, love is what matters in our lives, right? And we're meant to live our lives to the fullest with vitality, freedom, abundance, all of it. So I can't wait to show you the way out. Remember, don't be the fly. All right, I'll see you inside Outsourcing Made Easy. Bye for now. Yay! Thank you so much for hanging out with me and tuning into this episode. If you got value out of it, please feel free to message me on Instagram at Sarah Monica Photo. That's Sarah no H, Monica with a K, photo, to let me know. I get so freaking energized hearing from others that what I've said has had a positive impact on their lives. Also, make sure to hit subscribe to the Shine and Thrive podcast to never miss an episode. I'm so grateful for you, and I'm sending you all the productive vibes your way so you have the best week ever.